Usually at this point, it's just like all on stress. For whatever reason, I don't feel that way right now. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. But anyway, you cut it 2 weeks out. There's a lot of things on my mind that I got to deal with in terms of, anybody out there who's listening who's competed before, especially someone who's traveled to compete, especially got on a plane and you gotta pack all this stuff. There's a lot of just crap that, it entails. So I'm going over in my mind, okay, all the things that I need. I mean, it's bad enough when you travel regularly, trying to think of everything you need, don't want to forget anything. And traveling for a show, it's like that times 10, because you're like, okay, I need to bring my posing trunks, and I need to bring my music, and oh, wait a minute, my music. That reminds me, I haven't even put together a posing routine yet, and it's 2 weeks out from the show. Okay, I need, stuff for photo shoots. I need, it's not like you need clothes to go out to dinner or anything like that, but how much food do I need to bring? And I mean, yesterday I prepped 80 pounds of chicken and vacuum sealed 50 pounds of fish. That's just so that being 2 weeks out right now, I'm not going to have to do any more cooking. At least, I'm not going to have to prep any chicken or fish until when I come home from Australia, because I got 2 weeks till the Arnold, and then that following week I travel to Australia to compete in the Australian Grand Prix. And then I got a week-long tour over there. But I mean, once the Australian Grand Prix is, once I've competed in that, then I don't care. Then I'll go eat whatever. Not whatever, but I don't have to bring enough food for that whole trip. But I need to have enough food for the next 3 weeks. And knowing that stuff's going to get kind of crazy, try to get as much of that out of the way right now. I mean, as you could probably tell, I mean, considering the things we've already talked about today and everything I've shown you, it's all food. I mean, it's not all food, but the food is just the biggest part of it, at least for me. I feel like it's just, that requires so much preparation and so much planning. And, even if I train for 2 hours a day, let's just say, that's a lot of training. If I'm eating 6 times a day and it takes me half an hour to eat a meal, that's 3 hours spent just sitting there eating every day. Not to mention the time you put into prepping it and, all that kind of stuff. So the food is a huge part. Traveling with your food, it's a pain in the ass. But I've got a bit of a system down. So the idea right now is I'm just kind of going over in my mind everything I need. With the Arnold coming up in the Aussie Grand Prix, I got to bring stuff with me to sell. I mean, fans typically, they want photos. I got t-shirts. Now, going to Australia, I had to think about, okay, how am I going to get all that stuff over there? Because seeing that I'm going over there to compete, I'm going to have a lot of crap with me. That's already taken up room in my baggage. How am I going to bring, say, 200 t-shirts and, all these photos, and I got a dozen custom weight belts that I'm going to bring. How am I going to get all this stuff over there? So, it's a lot of time spent thinking about and planning, just the logistics of everything. Though I will say, as it's gone on, I've gotten better at it, gotten more of a system down. But yeah, I mean, typically if this were leg day, I'd be thinking about, okay, what am I gonna do for legs, and kind of preparing myself mentally. Luckily it's Monday. I've got arms and shoulders today, so I don't need to be sitting here quite, getting myself so psyched up. So the majority of the time I'm just sitting here thinking about, okay, how's the rest of my day gonna run? How's the rest of my week gonna run? What's next week gonna look like? It's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of planning, both mentally and physically. So that's a lot of it. Come on. Actually, what do you think? Can you do pose again? So it's going to count the time. It's good. What do you weigh? 264. Good. Good. Feel tighter than you were there? Like yes or no? Yes or no? I don't know, it's weird. Still have your sleep or something in your back is good. How does it look compared to the other day? I feel like tighter. Tighter? Like, combat, like shake back. All right, here we are, workout's over. You guys have already seen this once already. It's back, it's my post-workout meal. Question I get asked often is, you know, how come you don't have like a shake post-workout? You know, first of all, being pre-contest, I don't really have any shakes in my diet. And two, even if I was off season, I prefer having like a carb drink, like Carbo Plus or something during training with you know, some aminos. You know, everybody knows nitro is like my go-to product. I prefer to have that during training, and still, once the workout's over, still just have a meal. Shakes, as much as people feel like they digest quickly for them, for me, I feel like they actually kind of sit around for a little bit, and I actually feel like the food actually goes down quicker, and I'm able to eat again sooner, even though it maybe makes no sense at all. But that's what it is. Besides, you know, when you're pre-contest, it's almost like a meal. It's, you know, it's, even though it's pre-workout, it's whatever, it's kind of just another meal. Oh, in case anybody's wondering, this is not that sauce. It's just, I reuse the bottle. There's just apple cider vinegar in there. Typically would throw a little bit of hot sauce on this, but I forgot it. That's kind of a bummer. But I'll live.